Hey everyone, I'm Andrew, and I'm in 4A Mechanical, and I'm going to talk about keeping up in an online term today. So the biggest thing is going to be organization. The first thing I do in every term is I get all of my important deadlines, and as the prof gives them to me, I start putting them into my calendar. Especially in an online term, you're not going to have someone there to remind you all the time that this project is due or you have this midterm coming up. So it's on you to make sure that you have those deadlines in mind and you're preparing for them as they come up. Because some things like midterms and projects, you're going to want to be doing, a month, maybe a month and a half in advance to make sure that you get those deliverables done correctly. So what I do is every week I list out what lectures I have, what time they are, what lectures that are recorded that I need to complete, any assignments, problems that I'm doing, and any project work that I need to do. And that way you keep yourself accountable. Every week you get to Friday, Saturday, whatever your deadline day is, and you say, right, have I finished all my lectures, all my assignments, everything I need to do? So by keeping yourself accountable, you're going to make sure you don't slip behind. Secondly, you got to make sure that you split your work up. It's not efficient to do all your work for physics or for one subject, whatever, on one day. Your knowledge retention is so much better if you come back to a subject a day, 2 days, 3 days after you actually got introduced to the lecture content. So what I normally do is I structure my work so that I do the lecture on one day. A day or 2 days later, I do the problem sets, and the day after I contact the prof and I ask any questions I have. And that way I force myself to revisit the content instead of just looking at it right away. And it does wonders for your study times because you don't actually need to study as long to get the same benefit out of that knowledge. And on that note, make sure you're talking to your profs and TAs. A lot of people might think, in an online term, it's a bit harder to contact them, you just might not. But really make an effort to talk to your profs and clarify lecture content. Because if you don't understand something now, you're not going to extend it last minute in the exam. So make sure you're getting on that and make sure you understand everything you go through. Good luck with the term.
Hey guys, I'm Kara, and I just finished my 2B term of software engineering. Not gonna lie, university is pretty hard, but you all made it into UW-Eng, so I know that you're all more than capable of succeeding. The first piece of advice that I wanted to share, which I think is probably the most important, is to reach out to your classmates. You're all going through the exact same thing, so help each other. There's a really good chance that some concepts that you're stuck on, other people will have answers to, and that you'll have answers to concepts other people are stuck on. Or maybe you'll be able to pull together your ideas to come up with a solution. Everyone's high school experience is slightly different, and to some people, everything you're learning will be review. For other people, everything is completely new. But regardless of where you lie in this range, discussing course material is a really great way to reinforce the concepts you're learning. And it's also a super great way to make friends in your cohort who you can study and collaborate with. The second point that I wanted to stress is to ask lots of questions. This is something that I hardly ever did in first year, and it's probably one of my biggest regrets. Looking back, the people in my cohort who ask the most questions are also the ones who are at the top of the class. This is easier said than done, but don't be afraid to ask the dumb questions. There's a really good chance that you won't be the only one thinking it, and it will help so much in the long run. With this, it's really important to recognize that asking questions is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's the opposite. The last point that I wanted to make is that in university, you might feel like that you're being bombarded with work to do. Unlike high school, your profs probably won't give you 10 practice problems, which you can do in a few hours and then be ready for a test. It's really important that you're able to prioritize your work and spend your time doing the things that will be most beneficial for your learning. This may mean spending more time on certain courses and less time on others, or it may mean not utilizing all of the resources you have available. But that's okay. Figure out what you need to do to maximize your academic experience, and good luck.
Hello, my name is Irene, and today I'll be giving some academic tips, more specifically about finding the best study method for you. And so going from high school to university, it's a big jump, and definitely it was a big jump for me. So in high school, I never really studied a lot because I retained the material very well in class because it was more like a slow-paced environment. So I was able to just easily understand the concepts without going home to study a lot or do homework repetitively. And so when I got to university, it's quite different because you're thrown a lot at you at the same time, a lot of courses at the same time, and so it's more difficult to really retain the information, especially because it's a more fast-paced environment. So you really need to get a good study method down, and understanding that earlier on in university will really help you for the long run. So there are a few different types of methods. For some people, they need to work in a quiet environment, like in their own room at their desk. It has to be quiet. And like that way they can study and focus more on things. For some people it works. For me it doesn't. I don't know, there's just something about a quiet environment that gets me distracted. I don't really know. It sounds opposite. But for me, I personally like to study on campus. Like either by myself or with other people. But I do find it very helpful when I'm studying with other people because you can bounce ideas back and forth and just retain and like really understand what you're learning. Like even by teaching other people, like you can really understand and like grasp the knowledge. And so definitely in the long run, finding the best study method for you will help you. So